Good day everyone. By the way, we are the group 4 presenters and today we are going to discuss managing the franchisor's operations process, promotional and operations package, location and site selection. By the way, my name is Salvador C. Ramirez and I am the leader of the group 4 and the other members are Ms. Rosel O. Coronado, Ms. Maria Melanie D. Cuenca, Ms. Mary Rose M. Nuevo, and Mr. Jervin P. Villamin.
Good day everyone, I'm Maria Melanie D. Cuenca and I'm going to report about the promotional package. So according to which franchise.co.za 2020, franchise package is the sum total of the intellectual property and practical assistance the franchisor provides to franchisees. So ito po yung tinatawag nating franchise license wherein ito po yung heart of every franchise system. So it contains the franchisor's complete business concept from A to Z. So the sum total of the intellectual property and practical assistance the franchisor provides to the franchisees. So the franchise package has two types. First is the promotional package and the operations package. So, ang i-report ko po is all about the promotional package. Okay, when we say promotional package, it is a set of communication products made to attract the target audience of the original product. So, first is seek franchisee applicants to the franchise. So, as a business owner, kinakailangan na maghanap tayo ng possible franchisees yung sa tingin natin ay qualified and merong kakayahan na makapag-franchise ng business mo. Next is equip the franchisee with essential information about the franchisee. So, you need to inform and provide all the necessary information. So, kailangan mong i-explain ng maayos sa franchisee lahat ng kinakailangan niyang malaman para maiwasan natin yung misunderstanding once na na-execute or i-execute natin yung pagpa-franchise. Next is define or organize the forms employed to sign franchisees. So, once naging okay na lahat, nag-agree na both parties, malinaw na sa franchisee lahat ng terms and conditions, ito na yung time na i-organize mo na as a franchisor lahat ng forms na may laman ng agreement and conditions nyo. So, kinakailangan tong pirmahan ng franchisee. Okay, so the promotional package must explain the following. First is conditions of a franchising agreement. So, a franchise agreement is a legally binding contract between the parties to a franchise relationship. So, in order to take the ownership of a franchise as the franchisee, you must sign a franchise agreement po. So, a franchise agreement, it protects the both sides. So, the side ng franchisee and franchisor. So, it protects you as a franchisee and also protects the franchisor brand. Next is advised information, reporting, and bookkeeping methods. So, kinakailangan na lahat ng informations or nangyayari at mangyayari ay dapat may report. So, bookkeeping is the process wherein nire-record yung financial transactions into organized account on a daily basis. So, it can also refer to the different recording techniques businesses can use. So, para lang maging transparent tayo dun sa franchisor natin, kinakailangan nating mag-bookkeeping. Next is promotion practices. So, promotion refer to the entire set of activities which communicate the product, brand, or service to the user. So, the idea is to make people aware, attract, and induce to buy the product in preference over others. So, here are the costs associated in soliciting new franchisees. So, first is administrative expenses. So, these are the expenses an organization incurs that are not directly tied to a specific core function such as manufacturing, production, or sales. So, it includes the rent, utilities, insurance, office supplies, etc. So, next is the recruitment cost. So, it refers to the investment of time, money that an organization will undertake when searching for a new employee. So, recruiting tends to be a process that may involve some or all of the following: the job description, advertising, website listing, and job boards. Okay, next is the advertising. So, an advertisement is the promotion of a product, brand, or service to a viewership in order to attract interest, engagement, and sales. So, advertisements may come in many forms such as interactive video and have evolved to become a crucial feature of the app marketplace. So, pwede siya mag-advertise through Facebook advertisement, Instagram, TikTok, or any social media platforms today. So, hindi na lang siya sa televisions or sa mga billboard. Next is sales. Number 5 is the promotion cost. So, promotion expense is a cost companies incur to market their product or services to consumers. So, they range from giveaways, free samples, or other promotional gimmicks in order to help boost sales and revenue. So, yung mga free samples usually, if food, so sa mga supermarket siya and all. Number 6 is training and schooling cost. So, once na nag-franchise ka ng isang business, magkakaroon ka ng mga training na kung saan ituturo sa yung mga bagay-bagay na dapat mong malaman inside that particular business na ipa-franchise mo. So, ito ay may mga kaakibat na fees and charges since ina-acquire mo or itinuturo sa iyo yung knowledge na meron sila about the business. Next is supplementary services and related expenses. So, additional services offered by organizations to augment the core product or service. Number 8 is the administrative cost. So, it is incurred to support the functioning of a business, but which are not directly related to the production of a specific product or service. Administration expenses are the cost of paying wages, salaries, and providing benefits to non-sales personnel. 9 is the personal contract. 10 is follow-up. 11 is personal data sheet. So, questionnaire often given by organizations to individual for a purpose of eliciting specific information relative to the individual. Number 12 is financial data sheet. So, set of documents that shows your company's financial status at a specific point in time. So, they include the data on what company owns and owes and how much money it has made and spent. So, kagaya nung sinabi ko kanina, kinakailangan na magkaroon ng daily report. Administrative expenses. So, hiring and training sales clerks to recruit or solicit potential franchisees. So, kinakailangan na mag-hire ka and ita-train mo dapat yung mga sales clerk mo para sila na yung magre-recruit ng mga possible franchisees mo. Sila na yung mangingilatis kung pasok ba sa standards nyo yung magiging franchisee or yung potential franchisee na nahanap ng sales clerk. So, the non-personal cost of franchisee recruitment includes first is the cost of publishing brochures. Next is the advertising. Third is the promoting the business through trade show. So, conducting background assessment on potential franchisees. So, once na nakahanap na ng potential franchisees yung mga sales clerk, ito na yung time na kung saan magkakaroon kayo ng background assessment or yung background checking if meron bang enough resources yung nahanap nilang potential franchisees para makapag-franchise ng business. And last step is the execute analysis. So, dito na magyayari kung dito na kayo magde-decide kung pasok ba talaga sa standards nyo yung potential franchisee na hanap. So, okay, in recruitment package. So, once na naging part ka ng franchising system. So, sa recruitment brochure, andito lahat yung information about the benefits and opportunities ng pagiging franchisee. Kasi syempre, may mga advantages din naman once na nag-franchise ka or pumasok ka sa isang franchise system. Kasi, you're part of their organization. Kaya meron ka ng opportunities and benefits na makukuha sa kanila. So, this package is for the initial response of the franchisor to the queries of the potential franchisee. So, once na nagkaroon ka ng potential franchisee, so magkakaroon niya ng mga initial queries or yung mga questions niya like magkano, ganyan. So, makikita na yung mga answers na yun dun sa recruitment package.
Marcel Coronado from BSBA 3B Marketing Management. My topic is the recruitment contains the following details. 1. Business description. Business description, it summarizes what your company does, its purpose, and what it makes unique. It's a critical component of your business plan and immediately follows your executive summary. Number 2. Individuals of franchise system. Number 3. Franchise system. Franchise system, there are 7 franchise agreement consist of covered territory, operating help, how to start the franchise, assistance via the franchisor, regional and national franchise system, marketing agendas, and credit card system. Number 4. Operating a franchise. Operating a franchise need location, training, insurance, assistance, management and planning, standard of performance, trademarks and trade names, duration of franchising agreement, franchising and other expenses, franchisee right to assign, business forms recommended and supplies. Number 5. Investments. An investment franchise is usually a large-scale business that requires the huge capital investment. The franchisee is actually a major investor who provides the money and management team or sometimes engage their own franchisee to operate the business. 6. Franchise application. There are 8 prospective franchisees view the promotional package. First, business description, product or services. Second, in-depth details about the franchisor and franchise system. Third, historical information regarding the growth and function of the franchise unit. Fourth, cost needed for franchise acquisition. Fifth, help offered by the franchisor. Sixth, information about the building equipment and site. 7. Marketing aspects. 8. Financial details about franchise and franchise system. Personal contact information sheet. A personal contact information sheet is a form for recording preliminary information regarding a potential franchisee. It includes the chances prospects, name, address, contact details, communication exchange, and impression of the initial contact recorded by the person reached.
Good day everyone! I'm Mary Rose M. Nuevo from Group 4 BSBA 3B Marketing Management, and I'm gonna be discussing what is operations package. Relatively extensive, and the materials are in the form of manuals. The details in the manuals assist the franchisee in conducting the franchise operations appropriately. There are 10 major manuals: the operating manual, training manual, location selection criteria, marketing manual, advertising manual, field support manual, quality control manual, pre-opening manual, site inspection manual, and the reporting manual. So, what is a operating manual? It is the franchise system operating manual is the Bible of the franchise. It describes the central function and operating procedure of the firm. The manual commonly depicts in charts, graphs, and pictures how to conduct the business together in the franchising system. And the manual is a helpful instructional tool in the programs run by the franchisor for readying new franchises. The manual also covers franchise systems, significant administrative, functional, and legal aspects. So there are outline topics in the operating manual. The Section 1, Section 2, Section 3, Section 4, Section 5, Section 6, Section 7, and Section 8. It consists the introduction, the Section 1, General Rule of Operation, Section 2, the Section 3, Unit Operation, Section 4, Management, Section 5, Store Operation, Section 6, Sales Operation, Section 7, Inventory, and the last one, Section 8, Maintenance Control. So, a training manual. What is a training manual? A training manual is for instructing operating systems and personnel administration. There are category of training programs. A formal training program, which is the opportunity for the franchisor to help new franchisees expand special knowledge about the franchise system and the crucial business operating factors to drive success. And an ongoing training program. After the franchisee has entered, the franchisor provides training with the help of the field staff. And there are location selection criteria, regions, potential and economic strength, strength of metropolitan areas economy, transportation for supplies should be accessible, employment trends and employment mix, market segments, demographical characteristics in terms of buying a product and service, construction cost and land development cost, and the last one, primary competitors location. And that's all for my report. Thank you so much.
Hello, good day. I'm Jervin Villamin, your reporter for today's. First is Marketing Manual. Marketing Manual describes the market philosophy of the franchisor. That manual discusses details of the features and characteristics used in marketing that offering the business franchise, which may be a customer or commercial good, long-lasting or non-durable goods or services. The marketing manual is a step-by-step guide to solve your marketing problem through questions, practical examples, and mini case study. Also, the marketing manual addresses the three fundamental questions facing the business planner. First is where are we now? Where do we want to go? And last is how do we get there? Next is Advertising Manual. The advertising manual covers the list 4 topics. First is advertising, next promotion, graphics and signage, and last is public relation. In advertising is an effective way of communicating and promoting the franchise product to the target audience. Advertising is a market communication that employs all opening sponsor non-personal message to promote or sell product, service, or idea. Next is promotion. The design of promotion materials is to attract reaction from the target market or improve existing consumers' demand. Next is graphics. Graphics provide the franchisee with detail on how, what, where, and when to use trademark, logos, and service mark. And last is public relation or public relation program. Is for developing and good publicity for the franchise system and the individual franchise location. Public relation involve communicating with your market to raise awareness of your business, build and manage your business reputation, and cultivate relationship with the consumers. Kung ang marketing ay nakatutok sa pag-promote ng mga actual product or service, ang public relation naman ay nakatuon sa pag-promote ng awareness, attitude, and behavior change. Next is Field Support Manual. This manual shall identify and outline the service supplied by the franchisor to their franchisee. Also, this manual contains services such as financial planning, expectation, quality control, record keeping, training, standard, and procedures. Next is Quality Control Manual. Sa Quality Control Manual naman is a document that defines the quality management system of a organization and demonstrate how the quality management system should function. Quality manual may vary in format and details in order to fit the scope and complexity of the organization. A key use of quality manual is that your management can easily communicate the rest of organization that their expectations are for quality. Therefore, your manual should be written in relative simple term. It should be outlined, or number one is what the quality management system is and why the organization has a quality management system, and last is what standard it is set out to achieve. Why have a quality manual? All organizations have a quality manual. Your quality manual is very important. It will describe how your quality management system should function and how it is maintained. Also, it provides a permanent point of reference that describe the profile of your quality management system. Also, documenting the element of a quality management system allows you to examine and analyze your current product in order to identify any efficiencies. This will reduce the chance of your quality management system from growing in a unplanned way. Having a quality manual will also mean that your important business information is not confined to the inside people heads. If your organization is relying on an employee to remember the quality management system, and this employee may leave, taking the information with them will leave the rest of your organization at risk. Also, quality manual will help reduce communication problems. It gives your employee an initial sense of your organization, intention, and its clear vision. Also, having a quality manual in place will save a lot of time when it comes to auditing as this is a piece of documentation that can show to the auditor, which they love. Next is pre-opening manual. Sa pre-opening manual naman, naka-include yung checklist of activities and steps that must be complete before a grand opening can take place. Next is site expectation manual. This manual can define each item to be completed by a franchise. It contains the expectation with the standard used in processing to be obeyed, including a daily and weekly log. Complete. Okay, we have two major category of site inspection. Number one, appearance category. Appearance category contain item to be checked during the internal and external facilities expectation of the business. Next is maintain category. Maintain category naman contain a list by which to relate the neatness and cleanliness of consumers and worker works area and compliance by the franchisee to the instructed prevention maintenance schedule. And last is record keeping manual. Define the standard accounting and record keeping system which will provide a tool for getting correct financial information with a small amount of time and effort needed.
Let's discuss location and site selection. So when we say site is the spatial location of an actual or planned structure or set of structures such as building, town, monuments, and stores. So for example, the site in our school in PLSP or Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng San Pablo, when for example, the site would be the College of Business and Administration building. And when we say location, it is the Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng San Pablo. So location, a position or site occupied or available for occupancy or marked by distinguishing feature. So that's location. So again, example of location is the Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng San Pablo, or like the building of the College of Business Administration. That's one of the example of the location. Now, the question is, why is location important for a franchise? So there's a simple explanation for that. Location is all about convenience. It actually applies to all businesses, whatever type of industry it belongs. The reason behind that is if your store is easy to find and accessible, then your consumers can visit your store. So that's a very simple explanation. Location is all about convenience, because once again, if your stores is hard to find, then your consumer may not be able to visit your store or buy something from you since they cannot find you. And for the location convenience, since we are all using mode of transportations, if the mode of transportation cannot reach your location or your area or store, then your consumer will have to walk to go there, or sometimes if it's far from their houses, then it will be inconvenient for them to visit your location. Since we're talking about location, there is actually several steps or 5 steps in choosing the perfect location for your business. Number 1 is design a detailed list of selection standards. So the primary step in choosing a new location is to create a list of selection standards. The list should grasp the most vital qualification for the new sites. So these selection standards are the measures or the criteria for the location in order for them to meet the needs of the company or the business or the franchise. And the location should be able to identify and answer the following questions. How near are the business consumers? So again, we talk about here, since the consumers might need to commute or to go to your business, they will need to ride transportation or mode of transportation. Where is the closest port, bus station, or valet? Again, for transportation purposes, if it's too far, then it will be inconvenient for customers to visit your store. How much land is required if ever that you are putting up a new building or a new site? You need to check how much land you need or how much land is available on that specific area. And then, what is the workforce preference? Now, the workforce preference actually refers to the employees or the workers. For example, are they going to be service crew, manufacturing crew, production crew, or cashiers, or security guards, sales personnel? Things or employees like that will be needed. And next we have, what is the minimum electricity needs for the new site? Not only electricity, but it will require you permits. It will require you the water bill, the electricity, the internet bill. So those are the factors that you need to consider when you are checking the location. So the location standards will address these and many other questions. Selection standards may vary tremendously from project to project and business to business. What is insignificant to one company may be vital to the other, and vice versa. So again, if there are things that your company need but the other companies may not need, so we need to check, or the franchising business should check these things prior to putting up the business on that specific location. Next, we have to examine the quantitative and the qualitative factors. Now let's proceed with the qualitative factors. So qualitative factors are composed of the size and the environment of the community. The community to the nearby markets refers to the transportation system, the educational system. Qualitative factors don't have a direct impact on the business bottom line. However, it is essential to the success. So qualitative factors doesn't have a direct impact to the business. However, it will be beneficial or essential to the success of the company. So that is why it's important to examine these factors prior to putting up the business or the franchise business. Next, we have the quantitative factors. Quantitative factors will have a direct and calculable impact on business operations. These are the building cost, labor rates, logistic cost, taxes, and utility rates. To make an accurate assessment of operating expense for each site, the variable expense needs to be determined and projected out for several years. So for example, in our feasibility study, we are performing the research. So we are trying to project how much we are going to need for the building expense, or for the rent expense, for the raw materials, for the transportation, for the utilities. Things like that will need to be projected in order for us to come up on a possible expenses that the business will be encountering in the near future. Because if we don't identify those factors, then we will be working blindly, or we cannot prepare for these instances to happen, or for these expenses to be encountered by the business. So it's important that it is actually projected for several years. So in the feasibility study, we projected at least 5 years of the company for the sales, the expenses, the cost, things like that. Now let's proceed with number 3. Conduct a study on contending communities and assess data. So the company consultant will often ask for data from the prospective candidate areas and communities. Review public and subscription database to gather initial possible sites. The company consultant may visit for prior assessment and screening. The purpose is to eliminate unacceptable locations and narrow the field to a few areas that meet all selection criteria. So the site visit will be conducted by the consultant or the company itself to assess and to conduct screening on the location, and also the environment of the community. Is it like dense population, or is it only have a few population? So it's important that this will be assessed by the consultants, because if you're gonna put up the business on a low density or low populated area, then most probably you will only get the people, or the people who reside in that community will be your customers. So it will be difficult for the other consumers to visit your area or the store. So it's important to conduct the study, and if the study was successful, then you will be able to eliminate the unacceptable locations or the areas that doesn't meet your standards. And next, we have the incentives and bonuses consideration. When the field has narrowed to a handful of suitable sites, the company usually gives incentives beneficial to all parties. Incentives have two categories: statutory and discretionary. So the parties here are the leaser, or the one that will be renting, or will be the one to let the location or the land be rented, and the renter. or the purchaser of the land if the land will be purchased. So we have the statutory incentives. Statutory incentives are coded by the state law or the local law and made available to all companies meeting the condition of the law, such as state job tax credits for a firm that generates a certain number of works annually. So the statutory incentives are actually codified by the local law, or it means that it was standardized by the local law to be able to meet the needs for the specific work or work annually by the firm. So it was codified by the state law, and that all companies should be able to meet these requirements that is imposed by the law. Next, we have the discretionary incentives, are those that involve the preference of the granting party. Candidates evaluate statutory incentives, but final site negotiations innately center on discretionary incentives. So discretionary, so from the word discretion, or it's up to the party, the granting party or the giver of the incentives, how much they will give to that specific party, or for that specific entity, or the renter or the landlord for that specific location. And the deal will be sealed after the final negotiation, and that's the time wherein they will give like a specific amount on how much they will be giving the other party. Next, we have to conclude the decision, memorialize the deal. So the final decision will conclude and seal the deal. The chosen site and the aspirant typically memorialize it with a written agreement. So the written agreement is called Memorandum of Understanding or Memorandum of Agreement, or sometimes a development agreement. It contains the prospects that approves its location on the community and agrees to numerous jobs to make capital investments in the community. In return, the other parties agrees to deliver incentives. The final agreement is the offers and commitments of the community made throughout the site selection process. It is also supplies a roadmap for the incentive delivery. In the pursuit of prudence and local politics, a community or state must show that it received good value for the incentives offered. So upon sealing the deal, now the incentives will be delivered to the parties. So if you are the landowner, then you will receive the incentives coming from the renter. And it should be indicated, or there should be a note or received order upon receiving the incentives. Now let's proceed with the steps in site selection. So in site selection, there's actually 8 steps that you need to follow. However, just a quick reminder that these steps actually varies depending on the type of business or the type of franchise that you are conducting or you're operating, because some sites may vary from the other sites. The needs of one company will be different from the needs of the other company. So there is no typical or standard site selection process or location selection process. There's no standard. It's up to the business or the franchise. They will be the one to create the criteria. But this is what we found in the internet. Number 1 is to specify the project team. The primary step is to designate a project team. The team will commonly have representatives from the business unit, executive team, human resources, logistics department, real estate department, tax department, and outside site selection consultants. So again, you will need to conduct or designate a project team. So again, the project team will be the one to identify the location or the site, and then they will check everything about the site, and of course it will include several people to be able to complete the transaction. So it's important to designate that team specified for a specific site. Next is to specify the project prerequisite. Project types have different project requirements. For example, the requirements for a manufacturing plant differ from the software development operation. The project team must work together to determine accessibility to the operation. or accessibility to the customers, suppliers, capital investment, desired labor rates, employee skill requirements, infrastructure requirements, key dates, projected headcount, and real estate needs. So again, business to business may differ their needs or their criteria for checking or choosing a specific location, and of course it will require also different people to be able to conduct those research or selection process. And they should be, the selection team or the project team should be working as one in order for them to identify the best specific location or site for that company or the franchise business. Next is to perform a geographic filtering producing based procedure based on the project standards. In filtering location, gathering several data must be done. To make filtering model, the data should align with the site selection standards. Companies commonly utilize data variables, demographics, cost of living, industry presence, inbound and outbound materials, population, unemployment rate, utility cost, wages rates, union rates, tax rates, time zone, and other comparable variables to narrow the list to a long list of 5 to 10 locations. Numerous business often assume they can decide from this level of data, which is commonly a big mistake. So yeah, it's actually a common mistake if the company will already conclude when they were able to find this information. Again, we're only on the third step. There are 8 steps, so you need to complete the 8th step in order for you to be able to get the specific site that will suit the franchise business. And it will include different things like the demographics, the cost of living, which we'll be talking about later on. Next is to perform an in-depth investigation of long list to determine the final list. In identifying locations, the site selection team must perform a rigorous workforce, infrastructure, logistics, business climate, economic incentive, and real estate market investigation of the 5 to 10 prospect sites. So when you're able to narrow it down to 5 to 10, then you will conduct the research. And the research for this will include gathering several data. Number 1, the demographics. So what are the people, or who are the people in that specific area? Because they can be your target market or they can be your future employees. Next is for the educational attainment. So some businesses or some franchises will require you to have, to be able to be hired, you will need to have the educational, specific educational attainment like college graduate, senior high school graduate, junior high school graduate, or depending on the position that they are hiring, it will be required. College and universities. So are there any near schools in your area? Because of course, again, there are students, and these students may be your future consumers. And we have here the historic unemployment. So again, with the historic unemployment, so possible if there is a high unemployment rate on that area, then you can go ahead and hire those people as your employees. Or again, with the unemployment, of course, these are the people that may not have the capacity to be able to purchase or avail your product or services. Next, we have the location, size, wages of competitors. Now, the reason behind we are going to check the competitors, of course, we are competing with them, and we will need to be able to work with them, or we will need to be able to meet their standards for the location and for the sizes and the wages. Of course, if we are on the urban city, like for example in Manila, of course there are standard wages that you need to pay compared with the provincial rate or the rate from the other cities. And local employment drivers. So for the local employment drivers, so these are the jobs. So what are the top drivers for the employment? Let's say factory workers, let's say service crew, or sales personnel. So those are the local employment drivers. And then military presence. So with this one, forgive me for my opinion regarding with this, with the military presence, because for example, in some places in Mindanao, there are still military presence because of the conflicts between parties. So with the military presence, some businesses actually are afraid to put up the business on this specific area. For example, in what's happening with Ukraine and Russia. So some businesses from Russia are being closed by the different companies or different countries because, again, with the military presence, they might be targeted for attacks, things like that, which with the companies or the franchises doesn't want to happen. And next we have the recent expansions. So with the expansions, if your business is growing, again, you will need to expand your business. Or again, recent closures, if there are businesses that close on that specific area, because again, if you will be selling the same product, then there's a possibility if the previous company closed, you need to get or identify what's the reason behind that. Did they close because they got bankrupt, or they closed because they moved on a different place? And the wages rates. So again, if you will be working on a province, then you will get the provincial rate, and if you will be working in the cities or like in Manila, you will get the Manila rate, wherein you need to meet those standards. And we have the infrastructure conditions: road, utilities, fiber. This will be the internet. So the condition of the infrastructure, if your company, again, if you're working on a building, there are different things. There are different permits that you need to fulfill or to sign up into. And then utility costs, again, water, electricity, gas, internet. These are the things that you need to identify also. And logistics costs, again, moving one product into another, or moving supply from one place to another, or receiving the raw materials that you will be using in the franchise business. And then customer accessibility, is your location accessible to the customer? Because if not, again, location is about convenience, or site is all about convenience again. And next is tax rates. So tax rates, how much is the company earning? Again, for the specific tax rates, there are specific amount that you need to pay, and you need to base it on the codified tax by the government. And real estate availability. For the real estate, is the location available for renting, for purchasing, or for leasing? Economic incentive availability. Will you be able to get incentives, or will you be able to provide this incentive? And next we have incentive comps or comparison. Do the other companies provide incentive when they rented the area? Or you need to compare how much did they give to you, or how much they give to the, again, consultants or the parties involved in the leasing or renting or loaning or purchasing the site or location. Next, employer interviews. So the employer interviews will talk about the workers that the company will be hiring to be able to, again, provide service or products. Next, we have the economic development interviews. If ever you're on the urban place and you will be interviewing your nearby stores, or the employees on the nearby stores, or the customers from that specific location, you will be talking to them to gather information. And this research will result in the identification of 2 to 3 finalist locations. Again, once you were able to gather all this information, then you can come up again with the specific location, or you can narrow it down to at least 3 finalist locations. And from that, you can now choose whichever company or site or location you will be leasing into, or purchasing, or renting. And then number 5, we have the location visits to prospect sites. So the project team will conduct an on-site community to gain insight into what the community offers. The visit may take one or several times. The project team will meet with the community leaders, regional economic development officials, workforce training representatives, staffing agencies, local employers, utility providers, and the real estate brokers. The evidence collected while visiting the site will be vital in selecting the site, which allows the project team to understand the location differences. Again, since we've narrowed it down to at least 3, now we will proceed with the site visits to check with the local officials, the renter or the real estate brokers, and to check and to assess if the location or the site is the best location or site. Next is to conduct, or step 6 is to conduct negotiations. So the project team will begin the simultaneous negotiation on the economic incentives in terms of real estate. The negotiation may involve several entities such as personnel from tax department, consultants, state leaders, government officials, and more added to the needs of the negotiations. So the negotiations will be talking about the deal. How much do you need to pay? What are the things that you need to submit? What are the documents that you need to sign? What are the things that you need to comply? So those are the things that you need to negotiate about. Next, or step number 7, is build out of the site. Once the incentives are secured, the construction must proceed. The construction team will design a detailed project fundings and schedules and follow the project until move-in. Choosing the vendors such as architects, engineers, and general contractors with experience working on similar facilities can establish a vital to delivering the project on time and within the allotment. Now, since you were able to seal the deal or you were able to choose the specific site, what you need to do is to construct or to build the site. So if you will be renting an empty space, then you will need to create walls, fix the ceiling, paint the walls, things like that, to be able to commit or to be able to meet your business requirements. Next, we have the remaining ingredients to get your economic incentives. So economic incentive compliance is one of the most neglected steps. The site selection process never stops. Staying in compliance is necessary. Compliance may require you to submit and certain several essential documents. Failure to comply with these requirements may cause you to lose some of the incentives. So the reason you need to stay complying on the requirements, because the requirements or the compliance actually never stops. So you need to comply to the business. You need to comply to the requirements of the government, the requirements of the renter or the leaser of the location or the site. You need to comply to them, because if you fail to comply, like you fail to submit your documents, then there's a possibility that the incentives will be deducted or the incentives will not be honored if ever you neglected some of these steps. And that's it for our presentation. If you have any questions, clarifications, inquiries about our topics, you can go ahead and raise that question in the comment section, or you can go ahead and directly ask the reporters or me or any of the members of our group. Once again, thank you so much for listening. We hope that you understand and gain knowledge about site selection process, location selection process, and the operational and franchising package. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye now.